Hi, so today what we're going to do is we are going to make some Roman Plumbata. So what a Roman Plumbata was a throwing weapon. It was generally about 30 centimeters long, about a foot, that would be strapped inside of their shield that would be thrown in volley to try to break up a formation of either charging soldiers, horsemen, or whatnot, or a harassing weapon. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make one from start to finish. There's really 3 steps in this. We're going to make a mold. We're going to put some lead in it to make the Plumbata head, and then we're going to assemble the entirety of the Plumbata. So what we have here is we have all the materials that we're going to need to make a Plumbata. So the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to need some popular dowels. Now these are 6 feet by 1/2 inch. You're going to need some kind of a hardwood rather than a softwood because these take a lot of impact when they hit, and we don't want your shafts breaking all the time. So we're going to need that. You're going to need some kind of gas in order to melt your metal. Now in this example today, we're going to use lead. Lead is a great weight to use because it's so dense for its size. But when you work with lead, you have to be extremely careful because it's a toxic material, and we're going to show you the materials that you're going to use in order to work with it safely. But before I go any further, do not use lead unless you have the proper safety equipment. We don't want you to get lead poisoning. So in order to work with lead, you're going to need some kind of a gas. This is matte gas, the yellow, or you can use propane, which is the blue. You can use, as long as you have some kind of a burner that you can attach to it, you can buy this all in a kit. Either of these types of gas will work. The yellow canisters are generally burn a little bit hotter than the propane, but once again, either will work. You're going to need a good set of heavy welding gloves to melt that metal so that you don't get any injuries. You're going to need a tape measure, a pencil. You're going to need some kind of a pair of pliers. As I said, lead. Now I use these lead ingots. You can buy these just about anywhere that you can buy metal. I like these lead ingots because they are exactly 1 pound each, but you can use any kind of lead that you're going to be able to melt down. You're going to need a few little scraps of the same diameter material that you're using as your shaft. You're going to need a pot or something to cook your lead in. I've cut my shaft down to 30 centimeters. This is just a prepared one. Your fletchings, I use 3-inch plastic fletchings. These work just fine. You're going to want some eye protection because sometimes lead will spatter when you cook it, and you definitely don't want to get hot lead in your eye. You're going to need 2 pieces of 4x4, some material to help you seat your lead tips. You're going to use a hammer. This is what a shaft looks like that I've already got the fletchings on. You're going to need a 1-inch drill bit that is made for drilling holes, some kind of a drill. This is a 9/32 bit. For the types of nails that I use, you're going to use a 9/32 bit. A respirator. Now this is the most important part of your safety. I use a 3M respirator that is a 6001 series filter. These filters are specifically made to protect from lead. You can use whatever you want, but definitely use some kind of protection for cooking your lead. I have 2 4-inch clamps. I have a couple of 2x4s that I have used to make a mold, and we're going to use a spike. That is going to be a 6-inch spike by 9/32. It's the same as this drill bit. You have to have as exact a fit as you can possibly find for your shaft of your spike to fit this drill bit, because you have to have that as a tight hole. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and set up and show you how to make a mold for this, and we'll be right back. Okay, so what I've done, if you'll look at this, is we've taken our 2 2x4s and we've clamped them together with these 4-inch clamps. You need to make sure that when you clamp your mold pieces together, and these are just regular 2x4 pieces, that you get them as even on top as you possibly can. And so you're also going to want to use two 2x4s that are slightly different sizes, because that'll help you when you try to separate your mold. So get your clamps on here real tight, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your drill. You're going to come about 2 inches from the end of your 2x4, and you're going to put your tip right there in the middle of it, and you're going to drill straight down. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this, and we'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, we have our 1-inch hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 9/32 bit, and I'm going to come to this hole, and at the bottom of the hole, I'm going to look one more time. You can see that there's the tip of the hole. There's a small indentation where the tip of the 1-inch bit went into. That's perfect, because that's exactly where we're going to want to put our bit, and you're going to drill straight down all the way through the bottom of the mold. You're going to want to make sure that that hole is as straight as possible, because that's what's going to hold your nail in place. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and get prepped for our mold to have some lead poured into it, and we're going to show you that in just a second. All right, so what you can see here is that we have the hole drilled, and we have the pilot hole at the bottom for the nail. So once again, here's the nail that we're going to use. Once again, it is just a 6-inch, half-inch head nail that is 9/32 in length. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to put it down into this hole, and we're going to stick it all the way down until it touches the table. Now, what I've done, you'll notice, is I have my mold sitting on top of these 4x4s. And what that does is, with a 6-inch nail, it pushes the head up into the mold about 2 inches. So it's got plenty of room for the lead to pour down around the head and to seat the head directly into the molded piece. As you can see with the ones I've done already, it will set that down in there, and so it's all one piece. You don't ever have to worry about your head coming out or your nail coming out. So that's what we're going to do. It makes it a lot more secure that way. So we have our lead piece in there, and now we're going to go ahead and get ready to pour our lead. So what we're going to do, once again, is you're going to get your gas, make sure you have your gloves, your eye protection, and your respirator. So I'm going to put these things on, and I'm going to narrate what we're going to do, because you're not going to be able to understand me if I'm wearing the respirator. But mainly what we're going to do is you're going to melt your lead. This is just some scrap lead that I had from the ingots. And you're going to pour it slowly into that hole until it gets right, I would say basically 1/8 of an inch or even 1/4 of an inch from the top of the hole. And then we're going to put a piece of wood in here that will make a socket for it, just like this, so that you can replace your piece and use it in the socket where it won't come loose in the future. So let me get my safety gear on, and we'll show you what we're going to be doing. So as you can see, we've melted the lead into our mold, and I've put this stick in here. This is how that you make the socket, and you can see where the socket has been made. That's really only about the distance that you need inside of the socket. We're going to have to let the mold sit now for 5 to 7 minutes to really cool. If you open the mold earlier than that, then your lead is still fragile and it can break. So you need to make sure that you let it set at least 5 to 7 minutes. I'd say heck even 10, so that you have a nice set piece in there. And then we're going to take our mold apart and we're going to see what we get. Okay, so we've let our mold sit for a while to get cooled off, so we're going to go ahead and open up our clamps. And we're going to take our mold apart. Now, normally what you're going to do is you're just going to open it up. And we have our mold. We have to nail out our spike, just like that. And we have one solid piece here that we're going to use. So what you're going to do after you have your piece, make sure it's nice and cool and don't want to burn yourself, is that you're going to take it on your shaft, which I've already gone ahead and put the fletchings on this one. You can attach it any way you want. You can attach it with glue, you can attach it with fletching tape, whatever you want to use. And you're just going to slide this down onto that socket. So sometimes you can use something that's a little bit smaller. You can have a perfectly tight head where you actually have to hammer the shaft in. What I like to do is I like to have it where the shaft can come out, because then if it breaks, you can easily just replace the shaft. It's not a problem. And then what I like to do is to go ahead and just take a little bit of strapping tape, put your piece about that long, tear it in half. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just strap this on here, just like this. Just make sure you seat it really tightly on here. Do it one way, turn around, go back the other way, just like that. Just like that. And now you've got your head attached. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to go out and I'm going to show you exactly how these things throw. They're fantastic. They last well. And most of that, as you can see, they're pretty darn easy to make. You can make a whole bunch of these out of a mold. I use 5 molds at a time in the pieces that I have. But when you pour it, you can make a whole lot of heads. And we're going to show you exactly how they throw. So be right back. Okay, so now that we have the Plumbata, it's all taped up on here. I just want to give you a few specs about this. The head of the Plumbata being 1 inch by across by 2 inches deep, plus this spike on it, is about 11.7 ounces of lead. So when you throw this, it's heavy enough that it's going to pull the Plumbata down. So when you throw it, you're going to need to give it a little bit of elevation, give it time to stabilize out and to come down. So the way you grab it is you hold it by the end, put your finger down it, and you're going to throw underhand. So what you're going to do is bring it back and let it go. Just like that. So you can see these things hit very hard. They go right into the ground, and they were very, very effective weapons. So please make as many of these as you want. I think these are a great addition to our thrown weapons that we're going to be having. We're going to start instituting these here in Onstjora as part of our competitions. And if you have any questions, please just send us an email. Thank you very much for your time.